Hello everyone, here's the Donly Photoshop 2021 video course. In this lesson, we will talk about the matting in complex situations. In the last course, we talked about some commonly used cutout tools and cutout methods, mainly about quickly select tool, first set up a good selection, then adjust the range, and finally modify its border. Last time we talked about the matting case. Basically, we're aimed at clear boundaries. For example, we can look at the boundary of this beauty. Her shoulder is very clear. The contrast with the background is very obvious, so it is very easy to extract. Let's have a try. Select this quick select tool and smear the body parts. Look, the whole body and the head are naturally set up. Well, the below part is cut out. Very easy. So let's look at a part of this girl's hair. The hair is very different from the neck or the shoulders. First of all, the ends of the hair are very hazy. It's so mixed up with the boundary. It's hard to tell where the hair is and where the boundary is. At the same time, this puddle boundary is very complex. For both fuzzy and complex boundaries, this situation is what we commonly call hair cutout. How should we do it? In fact, it is not hard. There's a special cutout workspace for these complex cutout. This is called Select and Hide. And when you select the selection tool, you will be able to see the select and hide in its option bar. Any selection tool has Select and Hide option, and after clicking it, you will enter the Select and Hide screen. Let's take a look at the interface. First, look at the top left. There's something called View. It provides a variety of views here. Each view just makes us look different, but in reality, it has no effect on the image. For example, the red part is not selected, and then the normal part of the color is selected, or black. It's all in the preview mode. And there is this layer mode. First of all, the tool, do you remember? It is our subject selection tool. You can just freeze the subject we're going to choose and basically build the selection we need, which we talked about last time. And then we're going to look at the lasso tool. We talked about the lasso tool and the polygonal lasso tool yesterday. We're not going to talk about that here. This icon is the gripper, and you can drag the image to move. And this is a magnifying glass, and we rarely use it, although we can zoom in with one click. Because we just need to hold down the alternate and then slide the mouse wheel, can zoom in and out of the picture, it's easier this way. Let's look at the top three. The first is the quick selection tool we talked about yesterday, like a wipe to enlarge our selection. You see, there's a plus sign in the middle of the brush. You can also change it into a minus sign. We hold down the alternate and it will automatically change into a minus sign. You can use it to cut out the extra space. Then, the following two are not mentioned yesterday. One is Edge Adjustment Brush Tool. After we select the brush, let's make sure it's at plus state, and then we can adjust the size of the pen tip. So we can smear the edges, and it can automatically identify the edges, the parts that belong to the selection and the parts that don't. Take this hair as an example. Automatically identifies the hair and the background, erases the background, and extracts the hair. If you want to cancel the smudge somewhere, you can use the minus sign. This plus and minus is not meant to add or subtract, but rather to perform edge recognition operations and to cancel edge recognition operations. After smearing it, the details of the edges are basically added, and then there's a brush tool below. The brush tool also needs to adjust the size of the brush head after selecting it. It's a smear that's no longer automatically recognized, so if we click on a circle, there's a circle area. It doesn't have auto recognition, so it goes up as much as you paint on it. Or to reduce the size of this selection, it's a very mechanical, very hardcore smudge tool, different from a quick selection tool. We can use this tool to make some modifications of the details, such as adding some hair that has not been added. Okay, so after we've roughly selected the edges of this image, we have the slider on the bottom right. Where can we make some adjustments to our selection, like the first edge detection? It automatically optimizes the edges of selection. We now default to 0. It's not to use the auto optimization edge. We can add some for it. Let's see the effect. It's not obvious. If we stretch it to the max, it's just that the shadows have been picked up, so we usually don't use it. And then smooth. What we said before about smooth is that you can make the edges of the puddles a little smoother. But now we know we cannot use smooth for complex boundaries like this. Smooth will break the boundaries of our original matting. Next is feather. There's no need here. Do you remember the feather value we talked about last time? It is the hazy boundaries of the transition. The contrast is the opposite of smooth, which smoothes the edges of the puddles. And contrast. The more intensive the puddles, the finer the contrast. Here we can add a little bit. The moving edge is the expansion and contraction of the adjustments that we talked about last time. Moving out is expanding. Moving in is shrinking. We don't need them here. Now we can try a different way to preview the effect. Take a look at this. You will find that the hair has a distinct look. Here below, there's also an option called decontaminate color, which is very important. In a picture with a complicated border, the hair is often mixed with a background color. This hazy part is very fuzzy, and the black of the background will be mixed in with the hair. So if you pull it out, you will have some background color. So we're gonna check the decontaminate color to deduct the good effect. It's to clean the hazy part of the hair from the background color. Once the decontaminate color is selected, we will click enter to see how it looks. Now the hair is cut out, and the border is very clear, and the hair has a distinct look. Let's see the layer window above. Our original layer hasn't changed, but the selection we cut out has become a new layer. But careful guys may find this cutout layer, it seems a bit different. It's followed by a small black and white square. This little square is called mask, and many of you may have heard of something called Photoshop mask elsewhere. What exactly does it do? It controls whether the layer is visible or invisible, or whether the layer is transparent. You can see that the white area in the middle of the panel is the cutout area of our selection, and it's white. So the white area in the previous layer is shown, and the background is the area we're going to cut out. It is not shown, so it's black. Control the visibility of this layer by showing it in white and not in black. Now we click the left mouse button to select the door panel, and then click the right mouse button. We choose the deactivate the layer template. If we don't use this template, the layer will revert back to its previous state. Once this template is enabled again, you can see the black area around it, which we don't want, is hidden. Well, it's still here, but it's hidden. The advantage is that we can always change the graph. For example, if we choose the selection tool again and then click select and hide, you can see, wow, it comes back to the selection we just edited, and we can edit it again. We can always make changes, very convenient. I deleted the surplus, leaving only one. You can keep one layer. If you say you don't want this layer template, it looks awkward, we can select the layer mask here and right-click on it. Then find the apply layer template below. The mask is gone. And we're back to the normal matting state we talked about before. Now that we've covered the select and hide method today, we're gonna use a small example to help you get a deeper understanding. Look at this picture. It's a picture of furniture, basically a combination of white and yellow. There's a curtain, a sofa, a table, a lamp, and a flower pot ornament. Let's zoom in it. If the edges are generally cleaner, then the object will be easier to extract. But objects like this one with irregular edges or the one with a hair, we're going to use the select and hide we talked about today. Okay, let's have a try. First, we use the main function to frame it. Look, it can only recognize the whole part of the object. As long as the edge is obvious, it can be identified. And these small details cannot be identified. Then this time, we have to use the select and hide. First, with the lasso tool to draw a rough outline of the object. Then click select and hide, choose red button here. The effect is more obvious. Then use the second brush and smear to remove the edge. Click on the decontaminate color, enter. The weed is extracted. We can also slightly modify and so on. Alright, the matting itself is actually very easy, not complicated at all. Then there's another matting method called path matting. It is different from what we talked about in this course or in the last course. It can be used as a supplement to the matting method. So we'll talk about that in the next class. See you!